On the wall in my office hangs a 16th century propaganda etching taken from a woodcut made by Lucas Cranach the Younger entitled Lutherus Triumphans, Luther Triumphant. It offers a heroic image of the German Protestant reformer, Martin Luther. In the etching, Luther stands alone on a hillside opposite Pope Leo X and an army of cardinals, monks, and Jesuits. Luther holds the Bible high over his shoulder as if to declare its ultimate authority and as if to indicate that he is taking this sacred text back from those who have misused it for worldly gain. This image of Luther as a hero of the faith is not without some justification. He exhibited great courage in the face of real threat, and he effected a sea change not only in Western religion but also in society and politics. But the propaganda can mislead us into taking an overly exalted view of the reformer. Luther was a complex figure. He occasionally made terrible misjudgments. He could be vulgar. He exhibited stubbornness to a fault, and he viciously ridiculed his opponents. Yet he could also be self-deprecating. He instituted programs to care for the poor. He advocated for wider educational opportunities. He was compassionate and loved his family. Luther is not a person to claim uncritically, and where he is rightly to be appreciated, he demands that we engage his thought and work thoughtfully on our own part. With regards to the Bible, Luther valued reason highly, and he felt that the scriptures demanded careful study. He did not simply free the Bible from ecclesial captivity as he saw it in order to ensnare it in misinformed, contradictory interpretations. Luther found the scriptures to have great power to transform lives, and he fervently believed that translating them out of Latin into the languages of the masses would transform society, transform the world. But Luther recognized that the Bible can be hard to understand. When he translated it into German, he famously labored over the rendering of individual words. Luther knew that rather than renewing society, the Bible could be misinterpreted to serve the most anti-social agendas. Misreading the scriptures usually happens when we take a single verse out of context and apply it immediately to whatever circumstances we happen presently to be facing, even if the passage in which the verse sits has nothing to do with those circumstances. Recently, I encountered a local politician citing John 8:36 as justification for refusing to wear a mask during this time of pandemic. If the Son sets you free, you are free indeed, Jesus says in this verse. The politician concluded that the Bible clearly advocates for bold personal liberty, to disregard the imposition of mask wearing as an infringement on one's rights. This politician also claimed Luther's propagandistic heroism as further inspiration for such brave individualism. But as I have indicated, Luther's heroism is a much more complicated matter. In fact, in light of Luther's consistent emphasis on loving one's neighbor, even if it means personal sacrifice, I am confident that he would have rejected this interpretation and application of John 8:36. In context, John continues to present Jesus as fulfilling and, in a way, even as replacing the Mosaic law. The Son sets his followers free not to unconstrained individualism, but to a new kind of fidelity or obedience. No longer is one a faithful child of God by minutely following the law and claiming Abrahamic descent, but by following Jesus' teaching. One stands righteously before God, free from sin, not by legalistic devotion to Moses, but by living in the truth of Christ. A new command I give to you, Jesus says in John 13:34. Love one another. The freedom of Christ is the ability to set aside our individual interests, not to be captive to personal wants, but to sacrifice these for the good of our neighbor, as Jesus sacrificed his life for us. To cite John 8:36 as basis for individual liberty without concern for our neighbor is to make the first to say the exact opposite of what Jesus intends. We must hold ourselves accountable to reading the scriptures with greater care and humility. If someone cites a verse to make a point, ask them about the chapter in which the verse sits and how the verse relates to the larger argument being made in that chapter. And be prepared to answer the same question when inclined to cite the Bible. Who knows? Maybe by asking and answering this bigger picture question, we will provoke more meaningful dialogue rather than brazen allegation. That would reflect the better parts of Luther's heroism for what that is worth.